In Irvine, a really cool thing about it is whoever gets sent there is really lucky because it is ranked America's safest city. It's number one on the list. It's kind of weird because you have Irvine, which is a really, really safe city. You rarely see any garbage on the streets, and you don't see like anyone on the streets. Well, there are people walking, but if police do see people on the streets staying for too long of a time, they do ask them to leave their city. So that it was an interesting thing to see when we did see police like have to encounter people like that. But in the cities around Irvine, namely or mainly Tustin and Santa Ana, those are the two main cities that border Irvine. And you can tell immediately once you cross the border, like here's Irvine and here's Santa Ana. Like once you drive past that street that divides it, you can tell that you're in a completely different city because it is not as clean or the city's not laid out as perfect. A lot of people describe Irvine as a perfect like bubble. Like it's like a perfect city where the police are everywhere. They keep the crime under control. It's a really safe city. The traffic isn't too bad. Everyone mostly drives there. You won't rarely see or you rarely see people on bikes or people walking. The bus transportation isn't the greatest. You can get around on a bus, but it might take you a lot longer than if you were to drive somewhere. The city, it's really flat. There basically aren't any hills or anything. It's really super flat, and the homes all look alike. They're typically not too big, but not too small. I would say the average home in Irvine is around 1,500 square feet to like 2,000 square feet, and that's mostly the sizes of those homes. There are a lot of apartments that are in Irvine where people rent, where they lease or they rent and only stay for a time period, and that's mostly where the missionaries live at these apartments that are available to rent by the church, and the missionaries are really spoiled in these apartments because they are really, really nice and they're well kept. And things to do there, there's a lot of different foods because of the different Asian ethnicities that exist in Irvine, and also a pretty multicultural, because it is pretty diverse and multicultural. There are different foods, like on every street you might be able to find maybe like Vietnamese food, Chinese food, Korean food, Japanese food, um, Indian food, um, Mongolian food, just to name a few, like American food. You can basically find anything that you would want wherever, whatever you wanted to eat. And it's often not too expensive. It depends on where you go to eat. But there is one shopping mall that is pretty popular. It's the Irvine Spectrum Center, and it's in part of the corner of Irvine, and it basically has any store that you want. I know some missionaries would go there on preparation day to do some shopping because there was such a large variety to choose from and a large variety of restaurants to go eat at. And I talked about Disneyland being in Anaheim. It's not in the California Irvine mission, but it is really close. If you drive from Irvine for about like 25-30 minutes, you'll get to Disneyland and downtown Disney around there. But other than that, there are also a lot of beaches. I think I've already named a few cities like Newport Beach and Laguna Beach. They have some really nice views. I know missionaries aren't allowed to be on the sand or near it. Usually around the summer times, missionaries are asked not to go near those areas because of some of the activities that go on there. But during the winter times, if you drive past it, it honestly is one of the most beautiful things ever. The water is super clear, and you see people surfing there like all year round because of how nice the weather is. And once you get further down south of their Irvine mission, namely in like San Clemente or Laguna, Niguel, Aliso Viejo, these different cities, they're much more hilly. Like if you were on a bike, I remember there's some missionaries that were on bikes, and in their area there was some huge like steep hills that they have to bike past like every single day, and I felt really bad for them because of how much they had to bike like up and down, up and down. So that might be something that you'd have to prepare for, if you know that you're going to be English speaking there, and maybe having a chance to be on a bike there. And I think I've already said the weather's perfect there, like blue skies. I think I can count on two hands how many times it rained on my mission. I think it rained less than 10 times on my mission, which was a blessing, but also we did get into the California's still in a pretty big drought right now. So there are times when stakes would have to fast to try to hopefully get more precipitation going on. But other than that, I don't think I would complain about the weather because it was so great.